The dusty plains of Wyoming stretched endless under a merciless sun in the summer of 1887. Jack Harlan, a weathered cowboy in his late 30s, rode alone along the old wagon trail, his horse kicking up dry earth with every slow step. Life had hardened him. Years of cattle drives, lost friends, and a wife taken by fever had left his heart as parched as the land. He spoke little, trusted less, and asked for nothing from the world except to be left in peace. That afternoon, as the shadows grew long, he spotted a small funeral gathering near a lone cottonwood tree beside a dry creek bed. A handful of townsfolk from Willow Creek stood in a ragged circle around a shallow grave. A boy, no more than 8, clung to the edge of the hole, tears cutting clean tracks through the dust on his face. The child's cries pierced the quiet like a knife. "Don't bury her. Please. She's still warm," the boy sobbed, his small hands gripping the rough pine box. "She's not gone, she can't be gone." The preacher paused, Bible in hand, glancing uncomfortably at the others. A woman, likely the boy's aunt, tried to pull him away, whispering that it was God's will, that his ma had suffered enough with the consumption. But the boy fought, kicking and screaming, refusing to let them lower the lid. Jack reined in his horse, watching from a distance. Something in the child's voice tugged at a place he'd long buried. He'd seen death before, too much of it. But never like this, raw, desperate, a boy refusing to accept the finality. He dismounted and walked closer. The group turned, surprised to see a stranger. The preacher nodded politely. "She passed peaceful this morning, sir. The fever took her quick at the end." Jack looked down into the open coffin. The woman inside was young, barely 30, her face pale but calm, cheeks still faintly flushed as if sleep had only just claimed her. Her hands were folded, a simple wedding band glinting in the light. The boy threw himself across her chest, pressing his ear to her heart. "She's warm, mister. Feel. She's still here." The aunt sighed. "He's been like this all day. Won't let us close the box. Says she'll wake up if we give her time." Jack knelt beside the boy. "What's your name, son?" "Tommy," the child whispered, not lifting his head. "Tommy Reed. That's my ma. She promised she wouldn't leave me." Jack hesitated, then gently placed 2 fingers against the woman's neck. The skin was indeed warm, not the cold stiffness of hours dead flesh, but the lingering heat of life not fully fled. A faint, thready pulse fluttered beneath his touch, so weak it could be mistaken for imagination. His breath caught. "She ain't gone yet." The preacher frowned. "Sir, we checked. No breath, no heartbeat we could find." "Sometimes the heart hides," Jack said quietly. "Especially when it's tired." He looked at the boy. "Tommy, step back a minute. Let me try something." The child obeyed reluctantly, ice white with fragile hope. Jack lifted the woman, light as a child herself, and carried her to the shade beneath the cottonwood. He laid her on his saddle blanket, loosened her collar, and tilted her head back. From his saddlebag he pulled a small flask of whiskey, not to drink, but to wet a cloth he pressed to her lips and brow. Minutes passed in tense silence. The group watched, some murmuring prayers, others shaking their heads. Tommy clutched Jack's sleeve so hard his knuckles whitened. Then a soft gasp. Barely audible. The woman's chest rose once, shallow but real. Her eyelids fluttered. A low moan escaped her throat. Tommy cried out, "Ma." She opened her eyes, hazel, clouded with confusion and pain, and focused slowly on her son's tear-streaked face. "Tommy." The boy threw himself into her arms, sobbing with relief. The aunt fell to her knees, hands over her mouth. The preacher stared in stunned silence, Bible forgotten. Jack stepped back, heart pounding. He hadn't expected this. Miracles weren't part of his world anymore. Yet here one was, breathing in the shade of a lonely tree. The woman, Clara Reed, had slipped into a deep, death-like coma from the fever's grip, her body so weakened that her pulse and breath had faded to nothing detectable. The town doctor had declared her gone at dawn. But warmth had lingered, Stubborn, refusing to surrender. Word spread fast. By evening, Willow Creek buzzed with the tale of the cowboy who wouldn't let them bury a living woman. People came from miles around, some to see the risen woman, others to thank the stranger who'd listened to a child's cry instead of common sense. Clara recovered slowly, nursed in the town's small boarding house. Tommy never left her sight. Jack stayed too. At first just to make sure she pulled through, then because the boy kept finding excuses to follow him around, asking questions about horses, stars, and why men rode alone. One evening, as Clara sat on the porch wrapped in a shawl, watching the sunset paint the plains gold, she called Jack over.